really hope that we're appreciating the tremendous growth of Kyle Rudolph as a football player. And to put this in perspective, I completely wrote him off after the 2017 season, after his first 7 years in his career. Not because he was a bad player, never that, but he always just seemed to leave a lot to be desired on the football field. You could never argue with the fact that he could run routes and he could catch passes. He was basically a big wide receiver, but there was always the a weak blocker, and could never break tackles. Yards after the catch was always suspect. You could literally just tap the dude on the shoulder after he caught the pass and he would go down. It almost reminds me of, if you remember, I forgot what year this was. I believe this was in the Eastern Conference Finals, the Indiana Pacers versus the Miami Heat, back when LeBron James was there with Chris Bosh and Dwayne Wade. Lance Stevenson, formerly of the Indiana Pacers, at one moment just blew in LeBron James' ear, just whew, and LeBron James laughed it off. You could basically take Lance Stevenson from that and just blow just a gust of wind on Kyle Rudolph, whew, and he would go right down. Then in 2018, I noticed he added an extra element to his game. He was no longer the catch and go down Rudy, but he would extend plays, not necessarily breaking tackles, because in 2018, he only had one broken tackle, but sometimes he would drag defenders, fought for every yard that he could get, so much so that Sam Newton of the Vikings PR tweeted out, nearly half of Kyle Rudolph's yards have come after the catch this season. This was in October of 2018. He has 113 yards after the catch, 8th in the NFL among all tight ends, and his average yards after the catch, 4.9, is higher than Zach Ertz, 3.7 right now. Now, to be fair, so in October, nearly half of his yards were after the catch. To be fair, after the completion of the 2018 season, Rudy finished more so close to or just over a third of his total yards were after the catch. Still, that's pretty fucking impressive. I'm like, okay, Rudy, I see you, baby. Then there was, leading up to the 2019 season, we just drafted Irv Smith Jr., and there was the dilemma of, are the Vikings, are they going to cut? Because I believe Kyle Rudolph was in the final year of his contract at the time. Are the Vikings, are they going to trade Kyle Rudolph? Are they going to cut him? Are they going to sign him to a contract extension? And Kyle Rudolph reportedly said, I ain't taking a pay cut, bro. I'm too young for that. And so my mindset, I was on record saying that I personally would be in favor of trading Kyle Rudolph because we have Irv Smith Jr. out of Alabama. I like this pick a lot. But if we were to keep Kyle Rudolph, I would be cool with it because he was no longer, to me, that finesse player. He became a much tougher player. So when that 4-year extension came down, I said, cool. Then in 2019, now the stats weren't sexy, but although not only did Kyle Rudolph continue his yards after the catch, because in fact, in 2019, his average yards after the catch increased just over a full yard compared to the 2018 season. But then also, especially in the second half of the 2019 season, his blocking was absolutely phenomenal. And we talk about the pound for pound best players of all time, or best athletes of all time. So in boxing, pound for pound, arguably Floyd Mayweather is the best boxer of all time. Pound for pound in the NBA, Spud Webb or maybe even Nate Robinson, pound for pound, is the best dunker in NBA history. Now, this doesn't apply to Kyle Rudolph as far as stature is concerned, but when you consider the limited opportunities compared to everyone else, Kyle Rudolph he tied for third in targets in 2019 behind Stephon Diggs and Dalvin Cook. Dalvin Cook was second in total targets in 2019. That is absolutely nuts. Also, put it to you like this. Adam Thielen finished with 48 targets in 2019. He basically played half the season that year. Kyle Rudolph played every single game in the 2019 regular season. He tied with Adam Thielen for third in targets with 48. So when you consider the limited opportunities given and maximizing those opportunities, Kyle Rudolph, you could argue, was pound for pound the most valuable player for the Vikings. And then when we talk about the NFL is a sport where every single year your body breaks down. Now think about that. After his 8th and 9th season, Kyle Rudolph went from a tier 2 tight end, a finesse tight end, to, in my opinion, one of the elite tight ends in the game. Now, some of that can maybe attributed to his first 7 years where he was a finesse type of player, to why he's been able to be so productive for so long and why he's been able to get better after his 8th and 9th season. But we always say, if player X could add this element to his game, if he could add that element to his game, he could take his game over the top. Adrian Peterson, for example, AP, all day, AD. If he could just become a better pass protector, a better receiver out the backfield, he can be a legit 3-down running back in today's NFL, and it just never happened. LeBron James, for example, when he first got into the league, when he first got into the NBA, always been an elite passer, could dominate in the paint, sure. But but early in his career was, you know what? Around the perimeter, around the three-point line, you could sag off on defense, maybe double team someone else. And if he moved inside, then you can go back and focus defensively on LeBron James because his shooting was always suspect. Then, as he got older, after each year has gone by, he's become a very respectable shooter, even at the three-point line. So you have to now respect LeBron James. You can't just sag off him anymore. You have to respect him at all times on the floor. Kyle Rudolph has done that. And when you think about the best tight ends in the game over recent years, I'm thinking about Rob Gronkowski, Travis Kelce, George Kittle, even Greg Olsen during his time with Carolina. Not only were they super productive, but they brought an extra edge element of toughness on their football team on offense. And Kyle Rudolph never quite got there, but I believe this version of Kyle Rudolph, with the new skill sets that he's added to his game, blocking and yards after the catch, you can even tell when sometimes he'll catch a pass and be like, fuck yeah. He'll yell at dudes. He'll yell at opposing defenders. Like, get the fuck out of my face, bro. I'm like, yes. That is what we've needed. This version of Kyle Rudolph with his new skill sets. And if you were to consider, again, the stats weren't sexy last year, but this version of Kyle Rudolph, if given the targets, I believe he's now ascended to one of the best tight ends in the game. Much respect to this dude. Let me know your thoughts in the comment section below. We do this at least once a week on Mondays. Mediocre Best Sports Podcast with Realistic Randy. Check me out on Twitter at realistic_Randy. Facebook at Realistic Randy. We'll see you next time.